I have figured out what is wrong with Marvel Phase number 4. So people aren't liking Phase 4 as much as the other 3 phases, being 1, 2 and 3. So today I want to give my reasons as to why I think it's not working as well as what it should. So, let's begin with saying that Phase 4 is almost identical to Phase 1. Now here's why. Phase 1 was a build-up to the Infinity Saga as we know it, which was Phase 1 to 3. And it was basically a group of people come together to fight Thanos. And the first phase was bringing us to the MCU. We got new characters every single film. Bar one, because it was Iron Man 2, but we still got Black Widow in that film. But overall, every single film, we were introduced to brand new characters. And then you look at Phase 4, every single new piece of content, you get something new. Bar a few. So why does Phase 1 work so well, and why didn't Phase 4 work? Or why doesn't Phase 4 work, I should say? Well, I want to answer that right here, right now. So, what you got to remember is that Phase 4 already has more watch time, like you'd have to watch all of it, than Phases 1 and 2 combined. And that is a massive amount, which means that there should be a lot of content for people to watch. However, there's not. Now you may be thinking, well, why not? Well, a lot of the issue is the fact that Marvel Phase 4 is almost primarily built up upon TV shows, rather than what Marvel has been, which is feature films and the big screen. And that is something new to consider here in this new saga, let's say, where we've got what we've got. And to me, that is the main issue. The fact that the first film we had of Phase 4 was not even part of the new saga. It was part of the Infinity Saga, being Black Widow. And it was in the wrong place, but I kind of understand why they did it. Give a finale to Scarlett Johansson, which we all know where that went. But yeah, the reason it's failing is because it's a lot of TV shows. But the TV shows aren't what people want. Yes, people have wanted TV shows for a very long time, but the execution of those TV shows are not what people want. So, bringing TV shows is a good idea, especially for a multi-billion-dollar franchise, that being Marvel. And TV shows would work incredibly well if they were done differently. So today I want to give you my thoughts as to what went wrong with TV shows. So the TV shows that Marvel have used have done to build the saga, and that's not what people need. People need a TV show to expand their knowledge on existing things. For example, you have the 2 different shows I'm going to use here. 3 different shows. So I'm going to include Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, that's the name of it. I couldn't think for it for a second. And then I'm also going to use Moonlight. 3 very popular Marvel shows. So Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the best show in terms of what it's actually supposed to be for, because it didn't do anything. And here's why. You ended off Endgame with Falcon getting the Captain America shield and taking on being Captain America. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he ended taking on the role of Captain America. So the whole series was him getting used to it and actually understanding that it's him and it is the right thing for him to do. And that build-up of character is actually a good character arc for him. Sure, a few of the episodes are a bit iffy and some of the reasons why were a little bit wrong. In my opinion, I don't like how they did a couple of the things, but overall, the character development got you back to the exact same place in a very nice arc. And it was enjoyable to watch. And all it did was expand the knowledge on Falcon, but it didn't change anything. Then you come to WandaVision, where you have pre-existing characters, but it creates an arc to where you now have to watch WandaVision to understand Multiverse of Madness, because the film is a continuation of a series. And that's not what we want. We need something that builds on an idea, not creates an idea. Because then people that don't have a paid subscription or don't want to watch the shows, but enjoy the movies, are then able to have the same enjoyment out of that. For example, my parents don't want to watch the series, but they enjoy watching the films. Well, they're not going to enjoy Multiverse of Madness as much as they would, because they don't understand the plot points. I would have to explain why Wanda's going on about her kids, because she didn't have any to them. They happened in the show that is on Disney Plus that people don't necessarily watch. And then we have the third one, and I'm going to use this third show being Moonlight. Moonlight brought in a brand new character, and the arc and that show to me was amazing. It's my favourite Marvel show, and yet it was better off as a film, because then the MCU being built off films would have a new character shown off in a film instead of a 6-hour show, because the shows are for building a character, not for creating a character. Because then when they commit, that character of Moonlight comes into a film later on down the line, it's not going to be as good for people, because they won't understand it, because they haven't seen the build up to that character. So what show does work? Well, I've said about Falcon, but I think Loki sort of also works for the most part. This one is controversial because the whole Kang being part of it, I didn't think that was worth being on the show. I think that should be a film. However, Loki actually surviving it and coming back in a film later on down the line, it does work even without watching the show. And you may be thinking, how? He's done it multiple times. Like, Loki has survived multiple deaths in the franchise, so him just returning this one, it will make sense. You know, it'll just show that he's been killed and he's come back, because he's done that before in the past. It will kind of undermine his whole thing of Infinity War, but it will work, you know? He's done it before, he can do it again. Then you may be thinking, where have I come up with this idea of the TV shows just being an expansion? And a great example of a TV show being used as a expansion rather than what they build on is the Clone Wars from Star Wars, which I won't go into too much because I'm talking about Marvel, but basically it's between the episodes 2 and 3 of Star Wars, and it just builds on the relationship between those two films, and you can watch the films and not watch the show and have the same enjoyment out of it. When if you watch the shows and the film, you both understand the shows, the films equally, and it just builds on the ideas. And that's what I think Marvel are missing. They should use these shows to just build on the characters, build on them, instead of changing them. But that's just my take on it. Now, I would like to hear your thoughts down below, but I do think that Marvel should stop pushing the shows as proper content, and they should go back to making the films that people want. Because ultimately, the films will make them more money anyway. So they could have easily made some of these shows films, and it would have worked. I think that WandaVision, if Wanda had her own film instead of having WandaVision, then it would have been a lot better, because people would understand it, people would have watched it, and thirdly, you would have lost a lot of the filler that they added, because there was a lot of bits in that show that didn't really work. I felt like the black and white skit at the start was too many episodes long. And in the film, they could literally have got away with having that for 20 minutes. It would have made sense. And then if they want to add a TV show which builds on that, so they have more of those episodes being the black and white ones, then it would work, because it's them building on it. It's not recreating it. And then you have the likes of Moonlight. Introduce him as a film called Moonlight, and then have a series for Moonlight where it builds upon his character. That's where we show some of the things that they want to show us as build upon rather than an actual feature. So introduce new characters, bring new plot points in the films, expand on the characters in the shows. And if they were to do that, I feel like it would go a lot better. But maybe thinking, okay, that's good. That will fix a lot of the issues with the films and the shows. But ultimately, the shows and the films are boring right now because they don't link. And yes, that is true. However, I think they are leading into somewhere quite new. And there is a comic, I believe it's called Ultimate War. And basically, I'm going to just explain it in short here, where otherwise I'll be going to a lot of comic books here, and it won't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. So I'll go in short. So Ultimate Wars is a comic book where the multiverse is collapsing, and they have a bunch of the heroes that we know have to come together to stop Doctor Doom and a zombie version of Thanos by just collapsing all the realms and all the multiverses and stuff like that, and actually bring the world back to separated paths and bring timelines in and actually create different things that actually make sense to the world. So stuff like there aren't a zombie Thanos running around in the open because they've already defeated him. They can't have him again. It would cause too many issues to the world, especially with Doctor Doom being involved. And that is where I think this Marvel Phase 4 is leading into over the next few phases. I believe that the characters we are seeing throughout Phase 4 and the ones that survive Phase 3 and being Endgame, they will come together to join together to fix the multiverse. Doctor Strange will call upon any help he can to find out where Doctor Doom is. And perhaps Kang works for Doctor Doom. You know, we've already seen the good Kang has been killed, and we have new Kang out and about in the Loki series. So perhaps this new Kang is an evil variant that wants the multiverse to be destroyed. And that is what happened in No Way Home. The whole multiverse breaking thing from obviously Doctor Strange's spell at the end of No Way Home actually wasn't caused by the spell, but Kang had actually messed up the spell himself to break the multiverse, to bring in these people. And Doctor Strange just happened to fix it because of Spider-Man's sacrifice at the end. But perhaps we will see the multiverse is broken again somehow, and then that's where all these villains come about. There's a zombie Thanos. Okay, maybe not the zombie Thanos, it's a bit far-fetched. But you get the point. A lot of the enemies that come out of the multiverse will come through. And then we will see Kang controlling it. He might be the villain similar to like a Loki type thing from the original Avengers. And then we see he's actually working for this big villain being Doctor Doom. This will parallel Phase 1, where the main villain was Loki, albeit now being Kang, and then he actually worked for Thanos, and now our Kang is working for Doctor Doom. And perhaps we might see some callbacks and some like amazing threats coming from Doctor Doom and some of his iconic lines from the comics, and maybe even an interaction between Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange. Maybe they knew each other from Practitioner. Maybe Doctor Doom in the multiverse is a different character to the Doctor Doom in our universe. Or maybe, because the MCU likes to fiddle things a little bit, maybe Doctor Doom is an evil variant of Doctor Strange. I don't know. That last one was just a bit of an idea. Probably won't ever happen. But it will be a fun thing to see what they do. And I do think that Doctor Doom is going to be the main villain in this Ultimate Wars, because it has a lot of similarities between the characters there, between the multiverse actually being a massive player, and overall just being the MCU. But anyway, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. A little bit of a longer one than normal, but I wanted to share my thoughts on Phase 4, and I think the overall Phase 4, yes, is a little bit confusing in terms of like the direction right now, but I think that it will make sense in the forthcoming future, especially when we hit the end of Phase 4, when we see the major film at the end of it, because they have to bring a big film. You can't end it with just character builds, because it just won't work. Every single phase has had a major film, albeit them being Avengers films, but we could have, Avengers films. They could just be called the New Avengers or the Young Avengers, which exists. So ending it in a big film where we show that where the MCU is heading now is a good point. But anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you have enjoyed them, please do drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know in the comments what you think about Phase 4 and what you think of my ideas, and if you knew about Ultimate Wars, because I just want to know if anyone knew. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, so take care, goodbye, take care.